There are a couple questions I get a lot. Should I learn this technology or that technology? Which company should I join? And if you're a student, what should I major in? These are all important career questions because they result in a big investment of our time and energy. However, rather than trying to predict the future about some technology or the job market years from now, which none of us can really do, I instead wanted to share a framework to make these decisions based on the people you'd work with, access to new opportunities, and the current business needs. I wanted to start by calling out what you shouldn't do, which is perhaps equally as important as what you should do. Questions about a technology or company are tricky since we're trying to maximize the chance of a good outcome on some unknown time horizon with a lot of different factors that are outside of our control. So my first recommendation is to avoid getting stuck in decision paralysis. Rather than spending weeks or months trying to predict the future, your time is better spent just picking something and then changing course as needed. The beauty of tech is that almost every decision is malleable or changeable, and learning one language or framework or picking up one job will definitely help you pick up the next one. So it's not like you're wasting time or you're wasting your effort by learning one technology or doing a job for now. For example, some people spend weeks trying to figure out whether they should use Flutter or React Native or native Android for mobile development. And the answer is pick the one that you feel like you'll actually use and then build something. I promise that'll be a better use of time compared to trying to research all the pros and cons and documenting them and spending a lot of time to try and figure out the best technology. The second piece of advice that gets thrown around a lot is follow your passion. And that might be good advice, but the issue that I found is that very few people in the world are lucky enough to actually know their passion. We're not born with some innate ability or innate passion that we just stumble upon while walking one day, right? And unless you're Jeff Dean, you don't naturally have an ability to just write code, right? And fun fact about Jeff Dean, he only compiles his code to check the compiler for errors. But if you're like me and most people in the world, you have to invest in figuring out what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. And the way you do that is by putting in the hard work and then doing something and creating something. In my opinion, the framework through which you should make career decisions is based on factors that you can judge right now: the impact and the people. The most important consideration for your career is who you'll work with. The people around you, the people who you're going to spend hours every day with, will have the biggest impact on your learning and quality of life. And beyond learning, remember, the people who you meet will outlast this particular job or this project. And so later on, these people that you work with will help put in a referral for you, will help get that next job for you, whether it's a year from now or 5 years from now. Paul Graham wrote about this in one of his essays. Instead of working back from a goal, work forward from promising situations. And when it comes to promising situations, I think people are typically the highest order bit to consider. For example, during my 5th year in college, I joined a research lab working on recommendation systems. I didn't have, some inherent passion for big data recommendations, but a big part of why I joined that lab is because I felt the people there were very, very talented. Whether or not I actually ended up making a career out of what I was researching was actually irrelevant for me, because my real goal was to interact closely with the people in the lab. And in fact, that's what happened. I joined the lab, I worked really closely with the professor who went on to start a startup, which I then joined after graduation. And that startup got acquired by Pinterest, which is how I ended up at Pinterest. And that, led me to this career that I've now had. If you're deciding between a startup and a big company, ask the question, where will I get better mentorship and deeper interaction with my colleagues? And there's not a right answer. It could be a big company or a small company, depending on the company. But I really feel like that's the kind of question that is more important compared to asking something like, okay, what is my first project going to be? Or how old is the company? You should really focus on the people rather than these other things which might change over time. Or going back to the previous example, if you're trying to pick between Flutter, React Native, or native Android, just take a look at the smartest friends around you. If they've all picked one technology over the other, just copy them. Your chance of success is immediately going to be higher since now you have people you can go to for help and you can benefit from the expertise and legwork that they've done in order to make their decision. The second dimension here is to look at what new opportunities open up from your career decision. Think about the higher level skills you'll gain and how those will be beneficial later in your career. For example, if you have the option to choose between a role as a freelance developer or a product engineer, you'll almost certainly have better future opportunities working as a product engineer. With freelancing, you're beholden to a client who may dictate not only what to build, but how to build it. On the other hand, as a product engineer, you'll at least have some freedom around what to build, along with you'll get constant feedback about how to iterate, scale, and maintain that product. And as an engineer in general, I think that knowledge is a lot more valuable compared to what you would learn as a freelancer. Thinking about future opportunities is directly relevant if you're in school, because you have to make a decision about what to study. In 2022, I really think that decision should involve some element of engineering, science, or math, even if you major in something like art history or marketing. And the liberal arts are incredibly important, don't get me wrong, but the way you unlock opportunity and impact is by pairing that background with deep technical ability. By the way, if you feel like you're struggling to find new opportunities in your career and you want inspiration or feedback, check out the community that I created with my friend Alex, Tech Career Growth. We also just released mobile apps, so if you're interested in benefiting from the content we have while on the go, I'll leave links to that in the description. My final piece of advice for making career decisions is to look at how you'll be aligned to the top priorities where you work. Before I joined Pinterest, I was a machine learning engineer. One of the reasons I chose to start doing Android at Pinterest is because there was an urgent business need for a good Android app. Pinterest was trying to expand internationally, and given Android's dominance outside the US, of course, having a reliable and performant Android app was critical. The first benefit to working on an urgent business need like this is greater career satisfaction. For me, and I think for most people, a lot of my happiness from work comes from the feeling that I'm valuable and my work actually has an impact that is being recognized. Secondly, your growth and learning is going to be higher when you work on the top priorities, since the company will obviously put more resources, mentorship, and attention on those efforts. At Pinterest, I worked closely with a very senior Android engineer, which really compressed my learning. And through the amount of code we wrote and the features we launched, I really felt like I had gained 4 years of experience in just 2 years, which is really valuable for me. As a practical example, let's say that you had a job offer to do mobile development at some dental insurance company. Unless there's something really compelling about that job, I would run away, since the mobile app will never be considered a core part of the insurance business. And I'm not trying to pick on, dental insurance, but my point is that you don't want to be in the back office IT department without having a real impact connected to what the company cares about. Instead, you should work at a company where technology is core to what they do. And luckily, this encompasses more and more companies in the world every year, because software is playing a bigger and bigger part of our lives. This is the framework I use to guide decisions about career moves or learning choices. Focus on the people, understand the skills you'll learn that'll lead to future opportunities, and work on the highest priority items. I found that these are really good heuristics that can apply independent of the technology or job in question. Don't over-index on whether you think you might have an inherent passion or not for a topic, and also don't try too hard to predict the future of a company or a technology. If you found this helpful, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments if you have any feedback. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.